Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mia Luyando. I'm with Badass Art, and we're back today on another coloring adventure. Today we're going to try out the Pandafly color charcoal pencils. They are a medium softness, and basically charcoal pencils are like pastels. When you buy pastel chalks, or the little sticks of pastel colors, and they're just chalky, and you blend them and you can get blending stumps or whatever. These have just been encased in wood in the form of a pencil so that you have a bit more control. This is what they look like. They just look like a regular colored pencil, but you'll see immediately when they go on the paper that they're very chalky. And if anyone watched the swatching of the Color charcoal pencils from a few days ago, you'll see exactly what I mean about the chalky residue that kind of gets left behind. So these are no different. They're exactly the same, and these are the ones that we're going to be using today. Now, I've been talking about our project in Puddletown, and we are going to get to that, but I thought it might be better if we had a practice run before we jumped right into our portrait in Puddletown. So we've been working a lot in the Dragonfly Dreams, and I thought, well, let's just do a practice portrait, a light skin practice portrait, because I know a lot of people still struggle with super light skin tones. Before I jump in, I did collect from Amazon these little blending stumps. I think I paid $2.99, $3.99 for them. And as we move along, you don't need these. I will put a link in the description. You don't need these if you have a Q-tip or your finger will work. Some people bought up tissue. They look kind of like this, and I've had this one out and used it already. When you get that little set, it comes with this block of like sandpaper, and you just kind of scratch the color off to basically cleanse it so that you can blend again and not exchange your colors. So you can see how it kind of just scratches that color right on off, and that's kind of a charcoal eraser. Also, as you're scribbling away with the chalk, you're going to get like this chalky residue. If you do this, you're going to smear it. You don't want to do that with chalk pencils. So I have like just this nifty little makeup brush, just something cheap I picked up at the dollar store. I use that, or you can blow it away, but just be super careful because chalks don't set until you spray them at the end. Krylon is usually what I use. You can grab that at any big box store, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and they also have it at like Home Depot and places like that. It's called Krylon, and I will also put a link in the description below for that. So without further ado, we're gonna get started on this pale skin tone. Now on the Pandafly, they have no number, and it's like an abbreviation for the color. I'm assuming this is pink, P-N-K. It doesn't really look like pink. It's kind of a, I don't know, a seashell color, super pale, fleshy color. So when you start with a charcoal, we're going to go in just like any other pencil, super light, tiny little circles. And you can immediately see that chalk residue coming up. If we do this, it's going to smear. We don't want to do that. And the biggest trick to pastels is blending. And patience, of course, I always say that, but it is blending. The grayscale is going to help a lot. It does a lot of the work for you, and I say that all the time. Let the grayscale work for you. But yeah, it's a lot of blending and a lot of practice. Don't get discouraged. There's a definite learning curve to these, and I'll tell you, I hadn't used charcoal pencils in probably, I don't know, 10 or 15 years. And I spent all week, last week and last weekend, practicing with these just to kind of you know, get a handle on them again because it had been so long. So definitely, you know, be patient with yourselves. Don't, you know, don't be overly critical. It takes some time to get used to these. They're definitely different. So before I go, you know, too far down her face with this color, I'm gonna add another color in so that we can, you know, start the blending process and you can see what I'm talking about. First, I'm gonna get rid of this residue. And I'm going to add kind of this, sort of this mauve-y color. It's sort of a blushy pink. And they're calling it PUS. So I don't really know if these are supposed to be color names or what. I really don't know, but they are labeled a bit bizarrely. So I'm gonna go in right over, not a lot. I'm just kind of gauging these colors. I hadn't swatched these yet either, which is kind of a no-no. But let me see how this color. Now see, this is our first go with the blending stump. I really like these. You just kind of smooth them out. You can also use your finger. And that might be a bit too pink. So I'm gonna put that one back. And we're gonna go for the BN color. And let's go right over top of that pink and see if we can convince it to look a little less bright. Super light. You don't want a lot of color saturation. This is a lighter skin tone. Now I'm going to go right back over it with our skin, like our lighter skin color. And I'm just going to kind of pull this down into the paper. And those two colors, ideally, should blend in together. At this point, I kind of grab those little chalky residues and sort of smear them into the paper. And you can see how it keeps on coloring. Now you can use, obviously, a Q-tip for this. You don't need an actual blending tool. It's an easy process. Or you can, you know, wad up a tissue or paper towel or, you know, anything that's got a soft, porous tip is going to work nicely. You know, an old rag or something like that will work nicely too. There we go. So see, we're just kind of blending those two colors together and forming a nice little flesh tone. And I'm going to go over this a little more because it's kind of not wanting to blend nicely yet. One thing, you know, just like I said, be patient. This is a trial and error thing. That's why I didn't want to dive right into our Puddletown portrait because, you know, charcoals take practice, and I know a few of you have written to me and told me that you've gotten your copy of Puddletown. A few of you are still waiting for yours to arrive. So hopefully this tutorial will give you time to practice, and will also give the others time for their copy to arrive. There we go. So, I mean, it's not anything that is, you know, like rocket science, but it's just, it's a learning curve. And I even, you know, really went in with that, when I used that pink color, that was really a little too dark, and we're gonna have to work on that. I had an oops moment there, so we're gonna work on blending that out a little bit. I've grabbed the next lighter color, and I'm assuming this is their version of yellow. YLE, I guess, I don't know. But it is a shade lighter than the cream color that we were using. And I'm gonna go over again to see if I can lighten this up. I don't want it quite that dark. And we might just be stuck. We might just have to have it that dark. And if we do, that's okay too. We'll make it work. But this definitely has more yellow in it. I can see that. Not that that's a bad thing. Not at all. I'm gonna blend this out a bit and see what it left us with. That's a bit better. Now I'm going to go back to our pink fleshy color. I'm going to add a bit more of that shade above her brows and over her eye area. Get you guys focused here. I'm sorry if I'm bouncing you around. But you know, the biggest thing is don't be intimidated. I know it seems, you know, it's a different medium. It's something totally different than the wax pencils or the oil pencils. It's a little more messy. It's a little more to handle, but you know, don't let it make you feel intimidated at all. This is pigment and paper. We're definitely in control here, and we will make it work. That's why we're doing these videos, so that you know, the whole process doesn't seem so daunting. I'm just going to smooth this out. And because she is so fair complected, excuse me, it doesn't leave us a lot of color choices. This is only a 24 set, and they have, it's not a skin set either, so you know, we've got a lot of purples and blues and greens, and those won't work for us in the skin kit, so our choices are a little more limited. The thing is, charcoal pencils, chalky pencils, are not readily available. There's not a lot of brands that sell them. Pandafly sells a 24 set. Carbothello sells a 60 set. Arteza sells a 70, not Arteza, Kalur. Kalur sells a 72 set. And then Whole Line, which is, you know, definitely a pricey brand. I don't even know how many are in their set, but it's, you know, the price tag on that is pretty steep. I like to keep budget pencils on hand to do as many projects as possible. Okay. I'm gonna go back to this little brown color. Actually, is that what I want? Yeah, I think I will stop with that. The other one was a little too dark. Okay, so we're going back to the brown. And you don't need a lot. Remember that it smudges out pretty far. Let's see how that goes. Let's see if that's enough. And as long as you're building up your shadow slowly with this kind of portrait, you know, normally I work backwards. I start with the darkest shades and I move to the lighter shades. But on this one, I'm kind of moving in a more normal pattern because the chalks are so saturated, and I don't want, because we're working on such a fair complexion, you know, normally I say pick your darkest shade, you know, and then you don't go any darker and you can't mess up. That's kind of what why I do that, so that things like this don't happen. I wonder if I went over there with white, if that would ease that up a little bit. We're gonna find out. We're in this together. Hey, are we in luck? Maybe not a perfect blend, but definitely moving in the right direction. It was just a bit too dark. So at this point, our darkest shade is going to be this brown, and I won't be moving in with any color darker than that at this point. That way I know I'm not going to basically mess up this pale complexion. But because it is so light, I like to go over it with the lighter shade first so that it gives it a nice base to blend into. I hope that makes sense. And this video might be a little bit longer than normal. I'm definitely going to cut it into 2 parts, but maybe a little bit longer, just because this is new. You know, we haven't used these kinds of pencils before, and we don't want to rush the process. Now remember, we still have that darker chalky color on there. If you don't want that on there, make sure you use the little scratch pad, or, you know, just clean it off with by scrubbing it on some plain paper or something like that till that residue is gone. I don't always mind it being there, especially if it's, you know, still in the same, you know, color family, or I'm still only using 1 or 2 colors. Because I know the next color that I'm using is going to be that one, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, I almost smudged it, didn't I? Ha! So you guys are going to see me make all kinds of crazy mistakes today. Okay, let's start under another thing, and I know I've mentioned it before. If you're right-handed, work from left to right. If you're left-handed, work from right to left, because your hand pulling is going to smudge this until you set it. So, you know, I have a tendency to work like this and down, so, you know, you'll get your groove. You'll figure out what's most comfortable for you. But I do mention it because a lot of times with a new medium, you just forget, and, you know, you'll have stuff all over your hand, and, you know, it'll be messy. So just a reminder. I'm just kind of making a easy, light. I'm not hardly applying any pressure on this pencil at all. I'm just barely touching it to the paper just to get that, you know, that base. And I call it an underpainting, even though we're using pencils, chalk, whatever. Anything that goes underneath all of your other work as a base for it to blend into is basically an underpainting. And don't worry if it gets, you know, like really tangled up in her lashes or whatever, we're gonna go back over and make all of that detailed and pretty. So don't worry about it. It has to be colored anyway. Kind of getting ahead of myself. Now you don't have to go back and blend every single thing. I do it just because I enjoy making sure that it's even. You know, you don't have to do that. It's just what I do. I feel like it gives it more of a porcelain finish at the end. So that's why I do it. It makes it very even. And a Q-tip or your finger does exactly the same job. So I feel like I need to keep saying that you know, you don't have to buy blending stumps or special equipment. I have these just came in too. I saw these on Amazon and I was like, oh, those look kind of neat, you know, nice and squishy. So I grabbed those. I haven't even opened them. They arrived earlier today, and I thought they looked kind of neat as blenders. But you know, there's all kinds of stuff out there that you can get. Art supplies, or there's crazy art supplies out there, and I'm all about trying them out. I'm not sponsored in any way. I buy all of this stuff and try it out. I just I like to share it with you guys. If my stuff can help you guys make better decisions about what's best for you, then awesome. I'm gonna be using it anyway. And while we finish up this little underpainting, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. That way you'll always be notified when I drop a new video, which is generally Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that really helps the channel out. It helps it grow. And if you find these videos helpful, let me know in the comments. Drop a like. Let me know that the video was helpful, and if you'd like more content like this. Now, I'm not going to do her neck and shoulders and all that. We're just going to focus on her face for the tutorial. And it doesn't matter, obviously, if it does get down on her neck, because it's all going to be the same colors. And now we're going to add in these, we're going back to the brown color. We're going to add in these shadows on this eye, and we'll probably call it a day after this eye, and then we'll come back next time and we'll add in all of the little nuances to her face, and with some of the darker colors, even though we're leaving her as a super pale skin tone. You don't need a whole lot. That's one thing, you shouldn't run out of pencils. A little goes a super long way. It's really about moving the color around. When you're using oil pencils or wax pencils, you're building colors up. You're not actually smearing them into each other. And that's what you're doing with chalk. You're actually moving, physically moving the color on the paper. Because see, we've only got this one little spot, and we're going to pull it all the way down. We're going to just keep bringing it down. And that's not something that you do with oil or wax pencils. Once you put the color there, that's where the color's supposed to stay, and it's just not the case with these. And that's why you just really kind of go in with a light hand. You don't get overexcited with them. Now we've obviously got more work to do on her nose and around her mouth and her eyes and everything, but I think we will end it there today. We're at 31 minutes already, and for you guys it'll be a day or two. For me it'll just be a few minutes, and I'll be right back and we will finish up her cute little face. I think I let you guys know that we were in Dragonfly Dreams today, but you will have a link in the description below if you are interested in grabbing a copy of this book. I did this one about 2 months ago, 3 months ago. I don't know. It's still fairly new. So if you'd like to grab a copy of it, I will definitely have it in the description below. I hope everyone has enjoyed this video, and drop me a comment or a question if you're having trouble, and I will see you next time. I hope everyone's having a great day.